With the start of each day, a Renaissance masterpiece spreads across a golden canvas. The glory of Venice has dazzled the world for centuries. Today, every canal connects the present to a time when this city was the envy of Europe, and each building was adorned with artistic genius.
These are monuments that are really one of a kind. I mean, the Venetian Republic was very instrumental and very influential on the artistic world.
A city that seems unchanged by the centuries finds itself struggling to maintain the splendor of its golden age.
While Venice is not an industrial city, one gets air pollution just as any place else. The result is that sculptures that are on the exterior have a very serious threat.
In addition to the damage caused by air pollution, the very thing that makes Venice a treasure threatens everything the world admires.
Because it's a very, very damp climate. And so you have a type of corrosion caused by the salt. You have salt that comes up from the ground level, basically, and rises up, a capillary action that rises up through the stonework and can break out through the marble.
In many places, Venice is showing its age. As beautiful and as eternal as Venice seems, the fact is that it's under a constant assault from the sea. Much of its art and architecture is actually in pretty sad shape, but efforts are underway to reverse the ravages of time and tide. At the 15th century Scuola Grande di San Marco, restoration experts removed 700 years of grime from a building entombed in a shroud of scaffolding.
The facade suffers from age. You have Istrian stone and marble ornamentation, and because there's a darkening process of the Istrian stone really caused by pollution and problems in the air that cause the stone to darken, and you get a black crust, and that needs to be removed.
When it emerges from the scaffolding, the facade will gleam. Photographs taken before the scaffolds went up do little justice to this building's exterior. But this is also an inside job.
My guess is that that will take about a year and a half.
Through centuries of soot and dirt, it's hard to imagine the brilliance that once filled this room. Bright colors are muted by the dark shadows of age.
The three big pictures on the end wall, the high altarpiece by Palmiro Giovane, which is from 1614, are so dirty that you can see practically nothing. The result is that nobody understands those pictures, and when they're cleaned, they'll be spectacularly beautiful.
For more than 30 years, groups like Save Venice have been on an urgent mission to preserve some of the greatest artistic expressions of Western civilization.
It all began in 1966 with the Great Flood, when here behind me the water was about 6 feet deep. And everything went underwater, and everything had a great deal of damage that needed assistance from all over the world. Our biggest project has been this church, Church of Santa Maria dei Miracoli, which was built between 1481 and 1489. The design reflects Venetian tastes, but it reflects Venetian necessities because the space was extremely limited. Therefore, it stands on one side with the canal, the other side with the little street, and the result is that it had to be straight, narrow, and rather tall.
When Save Venice began restoring this church, the marble walls were disintegrating. It took 2 years just to determine what was causing the damage. Then the marble was taken down piece by piece. It was another 8 years before it was all put back.
The interior remains structurally exactly as it was.
As glorious as the inside of this church remains, some original artwork is missing, claimed as the spoils of war.
The original paintings, there were Bellinis, Carpaccios, Titians, and so forth, they were all taken out in the Napoleonic period and have gone away.
Still, after its restoration, the Church of Santa Maria dei Miracoli has become one of the most popular Venetian venues for weddings. The romance of Venice is what brings many people here. And even those with no interest in Renaissance art and architecture soon discover the masterpiece that is the city itself.
this type of architecture, this Venetian Renaissance, is something rather unusual, very specific to Venice, and something that we really need to save.
For more than 1,000 years, this city has had an almost hypnotic power on those who come here. And for many, seeing Venice is the first step towards saving it.
I love these things. I want to preserve them. And I think the world does too.